I'm really humbled to stand up here in front of all of you tonight and accept this award on behalf of GenSpring. And it's very appropriate that Greg was the person who actually introduced me tonight, because he's the person who introduced me to the Ackerman Institute 6 years ago. And so I'm embarrassed to say that I knew nothing about Ackerman at that time. And so Greg started telling me about all of the wonderful things that Ackerman does, and I was intrigued to try to learn more about it. And Greg gave me that opportunity by shortly thereafter inviting me to my first Ackerman Gala. And so at that time, I admit, I didn't really know a lot about family therapy either. But coincidentally, a friend of mine had recommended that I read the book A Family Crucible by Augustus Napier and Carl Whitaker. So those of you who are not familiar with that book, it takes a family through their journey with family therapy. And it's filled with all these patterns of escalation and scapegoating and blaming and triangulation. And as the director of family governance at GenSpring, these are things that I see in the families that I work with every day. So, although I'm never going to practice therapy, right? And that's thankfully for the families that I work with, right? GenSpring, through the thought leadership of Daisy, who Greg just mentioned, she recognized early on that we really needed to be trained in family systems and family dynamics. And so we started that training, and as we work with some of the wealthiest families in the United States, we realized that it's really important to work with them beyond their financial capital needs. And we really need to start incorporating their human and intellectual capital, right? Who they are and what they know. And that's going to give them the best chance to be successful over multiple generations, not just financially, but from the standpoint of family cohesiveness. So the statistics tell us that only 30% of families are able to transfer their wealth more than 1 to 2 generations, right? That means there's a 70% failure rate. This is commonly referred to as the shirt sleeves phenomenon. The first generation working in shirt sleeves has to create the wealth, and then by the end of the third generation, the family's relegated back to shirt sleeves to have to recreate that wealth. And what's really interesting to most of the people we talk to is less than 3% of those failures have anything to do with the financial capital, poor estate planning, poor investment results, right? So what's really happening here? Well, 60% of the failures are due to a breakdown in communication and trust within the family, and 25% of the failures are due to an inadequate preparation of the next generation to be inheritors of wealth, to be wealth creators themselves, and be the future leaders of the family enterprise. And so it really takes all 3 forms of capital, the financial, the human, and intellectual, working together to give these families the greatest opportunity to overcome all of these odds. The therapy services, training programs, and research initiatives being done by the Ackerman Institute are vital to building healthy and successful families. And we are excited to be associated with such a wonderful organization and so proud to receive this honor. Thank you.